It's 5 minutes past 2, and I'm uploading from the southwest, as usual, of Ireland, and this time from a cultural perspective, from an anthropological perspective, and from also a social justice perspective. This matter, it pertains to the issue of hate crime, and sometimes it always helps to say to know your audience, but sometimes our audience is so wide and varied that it could be any ethnicity whatsoever that would be assessing, understanding, empathizing, evaluating, criticizing anything that's of the freedom of expression. So as I come from a literary qualification with the University of Limerick, and as this is a documentary of human rights and journalism and whatnot and the freedom of expression, the issue of people's sensitivity and how easy some people find it to criticize without an actual understanding of how circumstances and conditions that they're criticizing are actually, in real time. So there appears that there is a little bit of a sensitivity around the circumstance of non-national being used. Non-national can be incorporating African, Arabian, Asian, European, or not European, but any of those races and or ethnicities. And I find it exceptional that anyone would try to take exception or make offence or take offence or be sensitive to a very short use of term for a very broad spectrum with a very short, use of time. So on these uploads, that's obvious that people are as quick, concise, and precise as possible. So these people that are taking offence and being sensitive, I am aware that they have been ticking boxes and Xing and Oing, and we don't like this and we don't like that. But unfortunately, there's a little issue around people that are forgetting where their sustenance of 3 meals a day comes from. There are people that unfortunately are claiming to be of a particular set of people, a particular set or group of people that they've caused very dangerous offence to, and that they have offended the huge foundations of reform with regard to as well. And that's really offensive. That's not really progressive. So I find it astounding that some people, they forget where they're eating from, they forget what's putting their food on the table, and they're enjoying new ways of life, new ways of being, recovery they call it, that's what it was called, recovery. And they're enjoying all these manners of being, and in the meantime they seem to forget what it all comes from, where it all comes from, and how it originated. Now that's either short-minded, short-sighted, or just downright rude. But the other aspect of this matter that is of hate crime as well is that when they're of that offence against any social reform, and if they're causing antagonism, or if they're overstepping the line where they've disrupted in families and family homes or family units already, as I've mentioned, there have been people that have been stalking and slandering and stealing and causing disruption, and it beggars belief, but some people are on such a foul card that I'm astonished that they think that my holy matrimony to the father of my child and my legal husband or spouse, that I don't receive any support or anything from. I'm a lone tenant. I look after myself. I support myself. And in the meantime, these people have the audacity, with all the cheek and trouble that they caused in other people's homes, and the disruption and disharmony that they're already guilty for, and the venom that has been spat to cause contamination in society from this collective that are still offending and looking for more trouble. That is just unreal, that these people, that they have offended the wealth and health recovery, and they claim to be of a set that they're not actually respecting. So they're not actually of that collective at all. They're offending the basis and foundations of what they claim to be, and that just doesn't make sense. So those people aren't of that set of people that think behave and act or have a collective view, philosophy or vision. They're not of that same mentality that has been of reform or progressive or whatever from the social reform that I initiated with the experiences, strengths and hopes of recovery. Now, these people have been of disruption in family homes, and they've disrespected health and well-being. As I've said, there have been awful spitting offences that are criminal, and especially with a royal, it's almost like a guillotine, a gauntlet offence. And this has happened prior to I becoming a married mother. So the audacity of it is that they have forgotten where their sustenance is coming from. They're eating 3 meals a day. It's all stolen wealth from my entitlements. They're living off social reform from me. They're discussing other people's homes and disrupting other people's homes, and they're upsetting other people's holy matrimony, and they think that they have a point of view or a stance, and they're guilty of blasphemy. So this is all about hate crime. This is for any graduates of sociology. And this is what hate crime is now that I'm experiencing. And this is happening in the southwest of Ireland. And this is a democracy. And I'm responsible for Brexit. I'm responsible for COVID-19. And I'm responsible for legislation of about 7 that has affected or impacted 7 state agencies. And the legislation of this country is being offended by individuals that claim to be of a collective that they have downright blatantly disrespected and damaged the families of and the progress and recovery of. So it's astounding that they assume to have a position of authority. If I use the word national or non-national, that's time constraint, that's the condition, circumstance of broadcasting, freedom of expression, journalism that I'm qualified in. Now, that people are passing people's doors and not honouring their debts and seem to think that they can afford to cause me trouble, I find also quite astonishing. Most people would